Attempts by the federal government and local police to stop illegitimate charities from running bingo games have failed in most cases. The courts have refused to let lawmen decide what is or isn't a bona fide religion. But there are other ways to arrest and prosecute those who operate bingo for personal profit. Randy Ripplinger explains in this segment of his reports on gambling.
State law says churches and charities may run bingo games as a method of raising funds. But some bingo operators collect thousands of dollars a week from their games under the guise of providing revenue for a church. Universal Life Church ministers, for example, are required to give only 3% of their profits to the church headquarters. They may keep 97%.
Any way to clamp down on that under the existing law?
Under the existing law, no. Because what you end up with is trying to define what's a church and what's not a church. And that becomes virtually impossible.
Even the Internal Revenue Service has failed to successfully attack the Universal Life Church. It tried to in 1974, but the Supreme Court refused to consider whether or not that church or any church was bona fide.
Again, churches are very difficult to work with because the courts don't really have clear definitions on what religion is and what isn't.
Can you tell me whether or not the IRS is investigating any bingo operations for their tax-exempt status?
Yeah, we're not permitted to discuss specific investigations, but you can be sure that we're aware of activities.
But another state requirement says it is illegal for bingo operators to pay themselves or their assistants. Last February 4th, Portland police arrested Elmer Hooper of the Universal Life Church and charged him with promoting gambling because police say he had paid his employees with bingo money. January 30th, another bingo bust cited the disabled American Veterans game operator, George Johnston, with the same charges. Earlier in January, Portland detectives had walked into the city's biggest bingo operation, the Church of the Conceptual Truth, and charged two men again with promoting gambling. They are Alexander Minner and Martin Gertler. Gertler openly admits he set up his church by mail, but he refused an interview to discuss where the $500,000 went that police say his bingo game took in last year. So far, none of the three Portland cases has made it to trial, and only one has stopped running games. The Church of the Conceptual Truth and Universal Life Church haven't even slowed down. A Salem City detective testifying before the Senate Justice Committee this week says he has had similar frustrations.
After about a year investigation, I put together a case, sent it to the Polk County District Attorney's Office. There was no precedent in the state of Oregon regarding prosecuting of a bingo manager, and they declined to prosecute on the charges, although I thought I had a very good case against the subject.
Multnomah County Sheriff's detectives took a different approach to the problem when they raided what was Midway Bingo last March 3rd. Since that night, the doors have been locked on Midway. The operators say they will be back in action soon under a new name. Before that happens, though, they'll have to persuade the Sheriff's Department to return all of the bingo apparatus that was taken as evidence in the case. Detectives took everything from bingo balls to the door prizes and even the tables and chairs. And while Midway is effectively shut down and the operators, Fred Lopez and his wife, are charged with promoting gambling, there has been no trial yet. Some legislators say police might have better luck controlling big bingo operators if the cities had enacted their own strict bingo ordinances.
The problem is that most local jurisdictions have not taken the opportunity and passed any ordinance at all. So basically it's wide open in most communities. A few of the ordinances that have been passed are really rather weak.
Portland city officials say when they recognized the problem, an ordinance was drafted, but it hasn't been enacted yet.
The city, of course, laws are affected only within its own corporate boundaries. So what we would have, as we've seen sometimes in the past, where the city has attempted to regulate a particular business or occupation or a certain practice, an operator who wished to continue that practice would simply move outside the city limits. They'd go further out into East Multnomah County or perhaps Washington County or Clackamas County. So all you're really doing is just spreading the problem out, and now it's affecting those other jurisdictions.
What Portland officials and others say they want is a tougher statewide law. There is such a bill in the state legislature now, along with another one that would make gambling laws even more loose. Exactly what those bills would do is the subject of tomorrow's report. Randy Ripplinger reporting for Channel 2 News.